I don't even know where to begin with this press conference that Trump just held, but let's start here. The President of the United States is so dumb that it's almost offensive. I am personally offended by how dumb his statements were, and I will demonstrate throughout this video that this man is not equipped to be the POTUS in any way, shape, or form. And for the Trump supporters watching, we can accept two separate things. Two things can be true at once. Yes, Trump is a good marketer. He is good at marketing himself and making insane promises. For example, he said he would end the war in Ukraine within 24 hours of being elected. Now, he's been in office for over 24 hours, and Russia is still striking Ukraine like never before. I'm about to play a clip where he talks about that, but while yes, Trump is a good marketer, he is absolutely terrible at the governing part, the part that actually matters. When he got into office the first time, he had all of these promises, but then he realized the system is not just a big negotiation. You can't just bullshit your way through Congress. You actually have to get both sides to come together, and you have to make concessions to get anything passed. So we can accept two things. Trump, while he may be a good marketer, is one of the worst presidents, the worst president the US has ever seen because of his lack of ability to govern, because of his lack of understanding of anything around him. Earlier, he told reporters that Spain was a BRICS nation. Keep in mind, Spain has been a NATO ally since 1999, and he thinks they are our enemy. But I digress. Let's jump in. And before we go to this clip where he basically gets trapped, someone asks him, "You think it's terrible to ever assault a police officer, right?" And he says, "Oh yeah, of course." Then the reporter asks, "How come you pardoned somebody that stuck a taser in a police officer's neck?" And Trump didn't even know he pardoned him. He was like, "Did I pardon him? I'll have to look into that." This dude doesn't even know what he's talking about. He just regurgitates QAnon conspiracy theories that he saw on Truth Social while in the Oval Office. But before we get into all of the January 6th clips, because there's a lot to listen to, let me play you this quick snippet of Trump talking about Ukraine, which he was supposed to end today. The war is supposed to be over, but it's not. And he says that he told President Xi Jinping of China to get the war in Ukraine settled. Again, this is offensively stupid. It is offensively stupid. You know, my grandpa has been watching CNN for a few years, and he always sends me these really angry texts. He'll be like, "This fucking idiot, Trump, I just can't fucking believe it." And I'm always like, dude, you need to calm down. But I feel myself physically morphing into my grandpa right now because now I'm the angry one, and he's the one that's like, bro, you got to calm down for a second. But let's just watch this clip really quickly.
Percent is ridiculous, yeah.
You asked President Xi in your conversation about Ukraine. You asked him to get involved in helping settle that. Can you tell us about that?
I did, yeah. I said, you ought to get it settled because he's not done very much on that. He's got a lot of power. Like we have a lot of power. I said, you ought to get it settled. We did discuss it, yeah.
This idiot doesn't realize that China benefits from their ally gaining territory in the form of Russia because China wants to do the same thing with Taiwan. If you're watching this video, you very likely know that China, Xi Jinping in particular, has been eyeing Taiwan for a while. There are even reports that they can make a land grab in 2026 to 2027. They're just waiting. They're watching to see how the Russia-Ukraine war goes. And our idiot of a president genuinely goes to our enemy and tells him to get the war settled. And the reason I laughed is because what he says here is so idiotic. Like, what'd you tell Xi Jinping? He's like, I told him you got to get it settled. Just listen one more time.
Can you tell us about that?
I did, yeah. I said, you ought to get it settled.
Oh, you said that. Wow, I'm sure that means a lot. Okay, let's just take a step back. Let me provide some actual political analysis. By the way, make sure you've dropped a like and double check to make sure you're subscribed. But this is not strength, and this is the opposite of leadership. This is one of the most weak, desperate, and fundamentally flawed strategies that I've ever seen. The President of the United States is asking an adversary, one of our biggest enemies, to resolve global conflicts when their interests are aligned with the enemy who isn't doing the invading, Russia. I mean, Russia and China have been strengthening their alliance. There was actually an article today explaining how Russia and China are moving closer together. And I don't want to delve into conspiracy theories, but I will say Trump has been awfully soft on China over the past week. I mean, ever since TikTok did him a direct favor, and TikTok had this message that said essentially, "Thank you, President Trump, for saving us," he's now being awfully soft on China. Yesterday, he was asked, "Do you think that it's okay that China's gathering the data of hundreds of millions of Americans?" And Trump said it's really not that big of a deal. So let me jump over to this article. Trump says he told China's Xi Jinping to help settle Ukraine conflict. This is the definition of desperation. He realized that he broke his first promise. Not that he cares, but he wants to be known as the person who solved the war. and his main campaign promise was that he would end this war within 24 hours. So now he's trying to ask Xi Jinping. He's trying to project himself as this global deal maker, but all he's done is reveal his own lack of understanding about international alliances, about where we stand, where China stands, and where Russia stands in relation. China's not some mediator that we can make deals through. China is good friends with Russia. They're allied. He does not know what BRICS is, so I'm not surprised that he's not aware of this. But let's move on to the next topic. This is the clip that is going especially viral, where Trump he kind of gets got. He's asked, hey, are you okay with people assaulting police officers? And he says no. Then watch what happens next.
We'll take a few questions if you want.
Can I ask you about some of the executive orders? You would agree that it's never acceptable to assault a police officer.
Sure.
Right? So then if I can, among those you pardoned DJ Rodriguez, he drove a stun gun into the neck of a D.C. police officer who was abducted by the mob that day. He later confessed on video to the FBI and pleaded guilty for his crimes. Why does he deserve a pardon?
Well, I don't know. Was it a pardon? Because we're looking at commutes and we're looking at pardons. Okay, well, we'll take a look at everything. But I can say this.
Before he says this, whatever dumb thing he's about to say, he didn't even know if he pardoned the guy. He didn't even know.
Murderers today are not even charged. You have murderers that aren't charged all over. You take a look at what's gone on in Philadelphia, take a look at what's gone off in LA, where people murder people and they don't get charged. These people have already served years in prison, and they've served them viciously. It's a disgusting prison. It's been horrible. It's inhumane. It's been a terrible, terrible thing.
Nothing about it has been inhumane. I need to make sure that I'm relentlessly pushing back on these narratives. I don't just play these clips for fun. I'm playing them so I can push back. I know that you guys don't like to listen to them, but the reality is we have to push back against this if we want to win. So he said that these people were treated horribly. They weren't. If they were treated poorly, it would be because United States prisons in general are poor. They didn't get any unique, terrible treatment. They had access to lawyers. They had a fair trial. They had access to all of the resources that anybody else would. And in fact, when he says that these people are serving way too long, you can do the research right now. The average prison sentence for assaulting a police officer is 5 years minimum, and oftentimes it can range up to 10 years, especially if you're assaulting police officers using flagpoles, baseball bats, tasers. In one horrific instance, the one that he was asked about, an officer had a taser held to his neck for a long time, and Trump pardoned that guy. He pardoned the person that did that. But apparently because this guy was in prison for 3 to 4 years, that's too long, and he was treated terribly. It's total revisionist history, and it's just a lie. It's an absolute lie. And not only were these people beating police officers, they were doing it with the sole intent of interrupting an official proceeding, which was Mike Pence and the congressmen and women certifying the election results. So honestly, I think that 5 years is not enough. Deport these people. Deport these un-American freaks. Okay, sorry. Keep going.
I also say this. You go to Portland, where they wrapped police officers, shot police officers. Nothing happened to.
Yeah, why don't you pardon those people? I'm not saying that he should, but I just don't know why he's randomly talking about Portland. And let me tell you, when he says that murderers are getting off free or that murderers are just walking away, that does not happen. That is not happening. If somebody beat a police officer in Portland, as he's saying, and I'm sure that it happened, not only can I say that they definitely got a few years in jail, but I would even say that they should get a few years in jail. I would be behind that. If you assault a police officer, yeah, you probably should get a few years in jail.
Anybody. You go to Seattle, where they took over a big chunk of the city and people died.
This all happened on his watch, by the way. When he's talking about Portland and Seattle back in 2020, he was the president.
Portland, a lot of people died. Wait a minute. And you go also, take a look at Minneapolis, because I was there and I watched it. And if I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city wouldn't even exist today.
Okay, the hyperbole. Let's go on to the next one. He's asked if the leaders of the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, if there's a place for them in America in this political conversation.
So we'll be making that. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, the leaders of the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers were free following their pardons yesterday. At the time, back in 2021, you urged them to stand back and stand by. Is there now a place for them in the political conversation?
Well, we have to see. They've been given a pardon. I thought their sentences were ridiculous and excessive. One of the guys took down a flag that was an anti-American flag. and he was given years in jail. I don't know the exact number, but
Was this the guy that also beat a police officer with an American flag? Nothing this guy is saying is true, and I know that you guys already know that, but when he's trying to say that these people got way too long in jail or that they were treated horribly, just remember, he is pushing QAnon conspiracy theories that he probably got off of Truth Social. He then says, I am the friend of police, and a reporter essentially fact checks him and says, bro, 400 of the people you pardoned assaulted police officers in violent ways.
And I'm actually releasing, no, I am the friend of police, more than any president that's ever been in this office.
More than 400 of the people that you pardoned, though, assaulted officers. So I want to ask you about the Vice President, J.D. Vance. He said, this is a week ago, he said, if you committed violence on January 6th, obviously you should not be pardoned. Why is your Vice President wrong?
Well, only for one reason. They've served years in jail. They should not have served, excuse me, and they've served years in jail. And murderers don't even go to jail in this country.
What is he talking about? Murderers don't even go to jail in this country. I don't even know what he means.
And we had 1,500. We have 16 under review. As you know, we commuted about 16 of them because it looks like they could have done things that were not acceptable for a full pardon. But these people have served years of jail. Their lives have been ruined. And in many cases, listen to me for a second.
Their lives were ruined due to their own actions, due to you. This guy tricked them into ruining their lives by making up lies about election fraud. It's all just a disgusting grift. And he's a miserable liar, number one. Number two, we live in an unserious country. But number three, I never want to hear Republicans say back the blue or they're the party of law and order ever again when this is what the president is saying. This is the guy that they're behind.
Can stop interrupting. They served years in jail, and if you look at the American public is tired of it. Take a look at the election.
Yeah, we are.
Just look at the numbers on the election. We won this election in a landslide.
That was not a landslide. There's no landslide there. He won it by 1.5%, the popular vote. That is the smallest popular vote margin in, I believe, 30 years. Biden won it by 7 million votes last time. That is much closer to a landslide. But even then, I'm not going to call that an actual landslide. I'll just say it was a comfortable, very solid victory. He is then asked, do you intend to continue selling crypto products that benefit yourself while president? And he basically plays dumb.
You launched a crypto coin the other day. Do you intend to continue selling products that benefit yourself personally while you're president?
Well, I don't know if it benefited. I don't know where it is. I don't know much about it other than I launched it. I heard it was very successful. I haven't checked it. Where is it today?
You know, I actually do believe that he doesn't know much about crypto because this guy doesn't know much about anything. But he knows how much money he's made off of it.
Hey, you made a lot of money, sir.
How much?
Several $1 billion, it seems like, in the last several days.
Several billion? That's peanuts for these guys.
And he's pointing over to Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, and a few other tech giants. It's just, what is that deflection? He just made a joke. And also, he's very low energy in this. When he's saying, excuse me, to the press, it's a lot more low energy than he was a few years ago. He's getting old. Finally, he gets asked, are you open to Elon Musk buying TikTok? And you guys know where I'm going with this, but this would basically achieve state media for the Republican Party. If Elon Musk owns TikTok and Twitter, or X, and then Mark Zuckerberg, who is now buddy-buddy with Trump, owns Instagram, Facebook, and the umbrella company Meta, those are the biggest social media platforms, all consolidated under Trump. That's going to make our job much harder, and I'm going to have to push back a lot more relentlessly as well.
Are you open to Elon buying TikTok?
I would be if he wanted to buy it, yeah.
On your inauguration?
I'd like Larry to buy it, too. I have the right to make a deal.
I mean, you guys already know where I'm going with this. If Elon Musk were to successfully own both TikTok and Twitter, we'd be looking at one man controlling two of the world's most influential social media platforms. And this one man is absolutely in the palm of Donald Trump. Even Trump supporters himself would admit that. And for the party that cried about censorship and said that Democrats owned all the big tech companies and were censoring them because they couldn't say the N-word or whatever, they are awfully quiet about Elon Musk trying to not only buy platforms, but once he buys them, he makes significant algorithmic changes to promote specific types of political content. We've seen this on Twitter If you're on Twitter, every other post looks like it came straight from Nazi Germany. And Mark Zuckerberg, while Instagram isn't quite that bad yet, Instagram and Facebook aren't quite that bad, it seems like he is heading down the same path of algorithmically promoting certain types of content. So no single individual or company should be able to consolidate that many social media corporations under them and influence what we see, what we hear, what we believe. For the party that's always referencing the book 1984, they sure are trying to turn our country into 1984. And I'll leave it at that. That's enough rage for one video. I love you guys. Drop a comment, drop a like. I'll see you guys in the next video, and peace out.